Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Star Wars Land Report from Galaxy's Edge atop the Mickey and Friends parking structure. This week we'll be doing some more before and after and a little bit of side-by-side. We're going to start from the backside of Star Wars Land, or the backside of the Battle Escape, I should say. Now, last week we were looking at the week of, or the week prior, and comparing it this week as we zoom in to the backside of Battle Escape. We're going to be looking at 5 weeks ago. This image is how the structure looked 5 weeks ago. And you can see that it look now we can see some changes, right? Now that's what we got to do. We got to look back further. But you can see that, I mean, a lot of the backside has been finished off, and now we'll return to present time. And otherwise, there wasn't a lot of change going on back here. Again, week over week, or even 5 weeks over week. On the ground, they're not doing much there because they can't, I imagine, because that's still a very heavily trafficked area where they're bringing. That's where a lot of the stuff is coming in and out of the building, inside of the Battle Escape building. All that stuff's got to go through that one little door, that one little hole right there, pretty much. So you can't be doing a lot of stuff in the backside. So it makes sense that they wouldn't be making a lot of progress here. And then we'll just do a little push in here to see what we can see. Now, I showed up in the morning to see if I can get anything. It was really bright. I couldn't see much, but I did get a little constructionizing here. I don't know. I could not see anything, not with the naked eye or through the lens, or through the viewfinder. It looks more clear on video than it did live, so I couldn't really tell. I wanted to push in closer, but I couldn't see what I was looking at. I was afraid to be out of frame. I'm not sure what they're doing there, what they're putting in, but it was kind of neat just to see some actual construction work going, because when I go, I don't get to see a lot of that, so that was fun. And then we've got one more look here. This is what was a little something going on. It looks like the guy's putting in, more wall. He's finishing off the wall there on the outside of Battle Escape. You'll see him here in a second. This time I could see a little bit better from this angle. There was less glare, and I could zoom in a little closer, and then we'll get even closer still. And you can see it. I want to say he's not. It looks like he's hammering, but he's not. He's signaling somebody to do something. Whatever that is, I don't know. But yeah, he's sliding in a piece of wall there, and they're finishing that off there. But that's amazing. It's just so. The process is so physical and manual, not as high tech as one might think. Now, this is the star of the show. These weeks recently is this particular bit of business going on here. Last week we talked about how we thought this could be Q, and how it was going to be those underground caves that were being developed underneath the faux mountain that's coming. But since then, I've sort of reconsidered after hearing some input from viewers. They are probably Q, I should say. I mean, we'll get in a little bit closer than pause. It probably is Q, but that's not the bottom of the Q. That's not the actual walking area. That's the roof. That's the top of the Q. And where guess where we'll be going is underneath that. Now, my guess is that what they're doing here is building another berm, I think. That's going to probably wind up being filled in maybe with dirt and trees. That's just my That's just what I'm guessing anyway, is that's going to be another layer, because it's going to be mountainside and there's going to be all kinds of trees and stuff on the mountain. So I'm just figuring, yeah, top of the queue, guess we'll be going through there underneath and traveling in that space. Expect dirt and trees right here. And then we'll take a look at how it looked 3 weeks ago. I didn't have footage of this 5 weeks ago, so we can only go back 3 weeks. And that's how it looked then. And we'll come back out again now, and you can see that there's quite a lot of progress being made there. Quite a lot. So, yeah, this does have the shape and pattern and design of something that could be Q, but that's not where people will be walking. They're probably going to be going underneath that. The mountain or the caves will be underneath that, and that's going to be, maybe a new berm. Now let's take a look at the top of the Battle Escape building for the proverbial pan across the the view of HVAC, as we say. Nothing new here really to report, and like I said, why should there be? Now that it's all done, I mean, it does look quite a bit busier than it used to, and it's more finished. You'll recall, it wasn't long ago that those two warts were just, steel structure. But, so, I mean, there is progress to be seen there, but it's not all that important, I guess, to delineate from previous weeks. And then we'll do let's go into the peaks from the Millennium Falcon. We'll get a little closer look here. It doesn't look much different than it did last week in terms of the progress. Now, what I'll say, as we pause here, what I am going to say, last week I said that they hadn't yet finished that third peak on the left, and that it probably would be. But I'm being told that's probably not the case, because if it were, we would see more support being developed. Not necessarily, there may not... In order to put mesh up, you have to have more ironwork there, and we're not seeing any of the skeleton that we saw for the others. So the fact that there's no skeleton on the backside of that peak suggests that they aren't going to finish it at all, which we're going to find out later. I'm not sure if that's... How can that be? I just don't... From this view, I can understand that, not finishing it. But then if that was the case, then why did they finish the other sides? The other two peaks, the one in the middle and the right, those are finished. And, from the same perspective, you would expect that, that would be the same. We're gonna go to the Toontown in a little bit, and we're gonna see that side, that third peak, is viewable from within the park. So I have to wonder if that is the case or not. I have to wonder, and then we'll come back out again. Just kind of take a look. Like I said, I don't see. It looks about the same. There's concrete on the far right peak, but not just still mesh. You can still see it through it. It's still transparent, which means they haven't done much with regard to additional layering there. Next up, we'll be going to the Millennium Falcon building, just to look at the top of the building, and we will do a before and after here, though I don't expect to see actually very much change. That is the long view of Millennium Falcon, the backside of Millennium Falcon. Here's how it looked. This is 5 weeks ago, and so they really have not gotten very far on that at all. So there's that. And then pushing in a little further, I'm not sure, what am I looking for here? I don't even know what I'm looking for, so we'll just watch the camera pan around and see what we can see. That building there's... is that a hole? I guess that's a gap that they're building at the far left. I don't know if you can see there. I didn't point it out in the video, but on the far left portion there, you can see a gap where they're probably moving stuff in and out as well, just like they are on Battle Escape. And you can see there is some slope to that building as well. That's a big building. I never really realized how big that building was, because I've always been so impressed by Battle Escape. All right. Now this is going to be a pan, the left-right pan that we do, but in this case I'm going to do a side-by-side, because I do the same shot every week pretty much, so you can compare them, a fluid look at the 5 weeks ago and today. And this is, fairly interesting in my opinion. They hadn't yet completed that backside of Battle Escape. All right, let's take it back to... Let's go to Toontown, I think. I think that's where our next... Because I want to talk about that peak and how it looks from within the park. We're on Donald's boat. And really what I want to look at here... And you may be able to hear some of the conversation that the guys and I were having. Talking about, there was a lot of concrete going on here. But yeah, look at that. You can see that right peak from here. It's on the right. From the other way, it's the left. But that far right peak, that's visible. So why would they not finish that? We're in the park. We're in Toontown. There's no reason not to finish that. We can see everything. Why would they not want to finish that? But if they are going to finish it, then why aren't they getting on with putting on the support work, the skeleton, as it were. And I think we're about ready to, yeah, here we go. We're going to start moving in. I don't understand it. Unless there's some other element to this that hasn't been, started work yet. Like another element that might obscure that peak from view. And that's actually the most logical explanation that I could think of, as opposed to them actually doing the skeleton work and then adding the mesh and then adding the rock. It could be that there's some other element, another mountain or something like that, that is going to block the view of that peak from Toontown. Look at all that scaffolding. My goodness. Stairs everywhere. And yeah, you can actually see that far right peak has gotten more progress than the middle one in terms of concrete too. Another layer has been applied. I just don't understand. That is almost, I mean, they're nearing done. They're not built, they're not going to finish that back side. You can just tell, they're not going to, but the question is why? Why aren't they going to? Because it's not, it's visible. Wow, that's a great shot. Okay, moving down to Big Thunder Trail, we're going to take our weekly look at the one little hole that's still visible through one of the Big Thunder Trails, and it's still the same shot we got last week. I won't do a before and after on this one because there's just not enough time passage, but I did want to show you guys, that we can still see a little bit from Big Thunder Trail. Very windy that day, by the way. And it's the same structure that we can see there, the roundish thing. But I can't pan to the right from here because the hole through the mesh is just, through the green tarp that they have up there is, I did pan a little bit. There it goes. That's where it stops right there. You just can't see very far. One day, though, hopefully, we'll be able to see actual, like, developed area. We can see them building. Oh, my God, won't that be something? If we can see them building proper, shops and stuff like that. I have a feeling they'll block that view by then, though. If you're listening, Disney, please just give us one knothole, please. Okay, back to the Mark Twain, and instead of doing commentary, I'm going to let the ride actually speak here because I love this little speech, and it blends nicely, so I'm going to shut up.
But I never get tired of taking in the breathtaking beauty of the Columbia River. The majestic trees, the stunning rock formations, the cascading waterfalls, the moose, deer, and elk along the banks. It's all so magnificent and so peaceful.
All right, now here's midway through. I think that's Battle Escape right there. I had asked Ian, actually at that point, what that peak was, and I think that I have identified it. We're going to see here in just a minute. Now, I'm pretty sure that's the peak right here. I thought for a minute that we might be further left, that what we're looking at is further left in the model, but you can compare the shape of the peak being built, the way it kind of tilts to the left at the top, to this peak, and they do share quite a lot of similarities. So I'm going to say that's what this peak is. And we couldn't get a look at this peak because there's a giant crane in our way this week, which was kind of a bummer. But while I was staring at this, I did see, let's see if I got this timed right. I did see another structure being built down. There we go, down and to the left. A new circular structure through those trees. I'm gonna say it's this building right here. I have no reason. I mean, this is just the most logical thing that I could think of in terms of its relationship. To the other peak and its design. That's the best that I could come up with. I don't know for sure. It's just my best guess. And of course, while we're doing this, a train has to go by, so I have to capture that train again because I love Disneyland trains. That right there is price of admission. And I think I say those exact words to Ian, or something like that to Ian as we're filming this. I said, right there, everything is worth it. With the river on the Mark Twain and the train going by and these lucky canoers. But yeah, back to business. Let's go. we gotta check out that mountain. All that meshwork being done. That's the mountain today, obviously. And then I think, if I've got my images correct, that's the mountain 5 weeks ago. It is, you can't even make out. I remember we were noticing that weird, that weird piece of steel that's all bendy. You can't even make that out anymore. And then we'll wrap it up with, yeah, there you go. That's one last shot at that. And then the long goodbye from this week at Star Wars Land Report from Galaxy's Edge and the Rivers of America. What a world we live in. What a world that we live in, that this is the kind of thing that we get to do. Oh boy, look at that. Just beauty. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Fresh baked and stuff.